button here. Also going to do it on Facebook Live, I think. Oh, I think that. Not sure. I'm not sure if that's happening or not there. Okay, well, anyway, we're recording it. So, all right, so welcome everybody. My name is Nancy Cowan. I am a librarian at Irondequoit Public Library. And if you'd like to put where you're joining us from in the chat, that's always nice to see where we have people tuning in from. And I do apologize. This is a meeting after a couple of months off. August, I had to unexpectedly cancel at the last minute, and I apologize for that for those of you that were going to be coming to that one, but I will reschedule just in 2023. And then let's see, September, I wasn't able to get a speaker. So I'm already starting to look for speakers for next year. So hopefully that won't be a problem. We will have another meeting in November. We're having the New York State Archives, somebody from there coming in to talk about just records that they can help in your genealogy research. And then December, we don't meet. So I just wanted to get that kind of housekeeping out of the way. So tonight we're going to talk about the Family Tree Magazine's 101 Best Genealogy website list. Every year they put this out in their magazine, and every year they add new websites to the list. And I think I counted 17 that they added. I did send out a handout earlier in the day, and I will put that in the chat as well. And I'll send it out as a follow-up meeting. So let me just do that real quick. It really just has the websites, a little description, so it's nothing that you need to follow along or anything. Let me just. And I see somebody, Deborah is asking, will they all be free sites? They're not all free, but some have a trial. Some want you to sign up, but you don't have to pay anything. So most of them are, I would say most of them are that way. So let's see here. Give me just a second. Oh, sorry. Well, it's not like this for some reason. Okay, well, I will send it out later. So now I'm going to share my screen. Okay, are we able to see? Let's see. Can we see ancient faces up there? Okay. All right, so ancient faces, I would say, is kind of like a crowdsourcing. A lot of people are coming together to share photos and to tell biographies about people, almost maybe like a little Wikipedia too, because there's nobody really checking to make sure that it's accurate information. But it is a a possibility of finding people this way. So there's a few different ways of searching on this Ancient Faces, and their whole idea is to show and tell people's stories. Everybody has a story, and by putting it out there, photos of people and a little bit of information about them, we're sharing their story, because a lot of people go through life and nobody knows their story. So this is their way of kind of making that happen. So you can add pictures to this. You can add biographies. This does not cost anything to do those basic things. So let's see here. If we look at people, and you can search by name. They have surnames that you can look at. They have featured biographies. Here's Betty White, Sojourner Truth. So it's some famous people, some just regular everyday people. So let's just look at Betty White. And for her, there was several of them because people had different pictures, but somebody did a little summary of her life. And you can see that you can build on her biography here. Here was the introduction. And of course, they've got ancestry advertising in the middle. That's probably how they are able to stay free. So let's see. So then it shows a little bit of family tree, pictures of her parents. So it's kind of cool. But as you know, she's a famous person. So most of us are not famous, and we're looking for our ancestors. So I'm going to just do a brief search on by surname, and they've got it split up by alphabet. So the last name that I'm looking for is Allen, A-L-L-A-N. So I'm going to go to the range for Allen, A-L-L. Where am I here? Here. And then go down to Allen. And as you can see, there's a lot of names that are already in here. Oops, gotta go down a little bit farther here. Farther than I thought. Okay, here we go. So mine is A-L-L-A-N. And it says for that last name, on this site, there are 12,854 biographies, which is amazing, but only 7 photos. So now we go down below, and these all say that they have biographies. And these are obviously older, some of the earlier Allens, if you're looking at the birth and death dates. So here are some specific family names that we can look at, first name and last name. If you go down a little further, here are the only photos that they have for A-L-L-A-N. And I know that my Allen came from Canada. So I don't know a Duncan Allen, but I'm just going to click on that to see, is this possible that this guy is related to me? So somebody submitted this, Kathy Allen submitted this, but she doesn't say any more who Duncan is, whether it was, an uncle or anything like that. Also says that the little girl is unnamed, and we don't have any date or specific location. So that doesn't really give me enough information to go on, but I could contact Kathy Allen and see if we are somehow related. So that's kind of cool. And then they kind of bring in different topics that might be associated. So here's, because this guy is from Canada, maybe you want to look at photos of Canada, or because it's a portrait, sort of, maybe you want to look at portraits. So they tried to bring same topics together to give you the best shot of finding somebody that you are looking for, or maybe you don't even know you're looking for them. And the cool thing about this and the next site, Dead Fred, people, and maybe somebody that is tuning in tonight, they see photos at garage sales or estate sales, and they just can't bear to think that they're going to be thrown out at the end of the sale, or maybe in an antique store. And they purchase these and then they put them up on here and say, you know, they give as much information as they possibly can, you know, maybe who the photographer is, where the picture was taken, if it has any other information, if it's labeled with the first and last name of the person in the picture. But I just think it's such a labor of love for people to actually spend time purchasing and then posting them, hoping that they're going to find their rightful owner. And there are some stories on a couple of these sites that are kind of heartwarming, you know, that they've reunited people that were separated years ago and were able to find each other through one of these websites. So it's really kind of a cool thing. And I like their purpose too, is you know, telling everybody's story, show and tell their story. Everybody deserves to be remembered, which I think is a really cool tag line for them. They do have a short YouTube video just to tell you a little bit about the website. Their tutorial is okay. I mean, it's all of this, you just kind of have to play around with it. That's what I had to do with these. Frequently asked questions is always a good thing to check out. But that is Ancient Faces. And the next one is Dead Fred. Oh, and I didn't go into, because I'm not going to have time tonight to go into a lot of detail, so we can't do the deep dive. I'm just kind of introducing these websites to you. But you are able to add photos and biographies yourself, and it does tell you how to do that on the Ancient Faces site. Okay, so here is Dead Fred, and I had heard of Dead Fred, but I never looked at it myself. So again, you can search photos on here, you can post photos, and I'm going to look again by my surname of Allen. And let's see here, A-L-L-A-N, because it's a little unusual, the spelling. Most people are going to look for A-L-L-E-N. So I know there's a John Allen in my family in Canada. And this has a big family, it looks like. So I clicked on this, and I love that this is got everybody identified. So the parents, as you can see, are John and Mary Ann, and then they've got all of the kids labeled. So can you imagine, like, if you knew John and Mary Ann and maybe a few of the kids, but you didn't have any idea about the other ones, and you saw this picture, like, oh my gosh, you just added 5 people to your family tree. So, and this has a date of about 1902 on that. So very cool with that. And then John Allen again, and this is Manitoba, so that's Canada. Could this be my John Allen? I don't know. So there's them, it looks like younger, same couple. And if you go into, let's see here. Here we go. So I was looking at the thumbnail, but it also, you can write comments on here, and the comment says married in Kilwinning, Scotland, and they moved to Manitoba, Canada in 1879. Maybe this is your John Allen, and maybe you didn't know that they were married in Kilwinning, Scotland. So now you have some information to start looking a little bit deeper. And now you know when they moved to Canada. I mean, we have no proof yet, but at least we have a path to go down. So you just never know where you're going to find information about your people. So I think everything is worth looking at. The other one on here is, like I had started to mention with the ancient faces, the mysteries. So they have a mystery section right here. And so you're not going to know the name of the person, so you can't enter that information. But I just did kind of a general search. So I put in New York, and they do ask for the state abbreviation there. And then down at the bottom, you can choose who you might be looking for. And I entered young females just to see what came up. I wasn't looking for anybody in particular. And then the date range. So these go from 1835 to 1960. So that's a pretty broad range. But I chose the 1921 to 1940 and then just hit submit. So these, again, are mysteries. We don't know who these people are. And so I'm just looking through, scrolling through, and because I'm in New York, you know, I'm recognizing some town names, Geneva, Ithaca, those are very close by. And then there's one in Rochester, New York, which is where we are. So we have this cute little girl that it's a colorized photo. And if we go back to the comments, color tinted girl with Dutch boy haircut and patent leather shoes. And we know it's between the 1921 to 1940, probably, I'm guessing by the clothes, and because I mean, that's again a pretty broad range, but they could narrow it down to that time frame. So what if you saw yourself in that picture, or your sister looked like this little girl? Like, that would be so cool to find that, oh my gosh, we didn't know this child even existed, and here now we have a picture of her. So just, I don't know, I get excited about those things, because again, you don't know where you're going to find your next piece of information. Okay, so on to the next, family tree research. I'm sorry, family tree searcher. And this I kind of liken to like a Travelocity or hotels.com for genealogists, because you're able to search multiple websites from one website. And I'll show you what I mean. So it's good to, I think, on any of these, just kind of look through your frequently asked questions. Definitions would be another good one. They have a tour. Here's searching hints on the various websites that they use. So here's ways to search for family trees, suggestions. If you're looking for the family tree for all of humankind, which they have on Family Search and apparently on Genie and WikiTree also, that's suggestions for that. If you're documenting or verifying family tree, then these are the good sites to use for that. So, so I'm just going to go to a search here, and I had already entered Henry Hargraves, who is an ancestor of mine, and so when I entered his birth date, his name, and his death, it came up with all of these different websites to look. So the first one is worldconnect@rootsweb.com, and they tell you the information that is going to be the most helpful to include when you're searching on each of these individual sites. So I'm going to go to, I'm not going to look at all of them, but Family Search Genealogies. So it brings you to the Family Search screen here in just a moment. Okay, so here's Henrietta Hargraves with the birth date, with the, I didn't have the marriage, I didn't enter the marriage date, and spouse and children. So then I can click on that. And so actually, this is my contribution submitted by Nancy Cowan. So that wasn't any new information for me, but this is what the types of things that you can see. And there were plenty of other choices to look through. Computerized ancestor, I'm not real familiar with that one. I'm going to look at this GeneNet here. And there are 26 results. Okay. And I do happen to know that he did live in Bronxville, and these are the right dates. So this, I think, is my Henry Hargraves. I have not worked on GeneNet myself, so I know this isn't from me. And right here, I see this Malloy Rundy family tree. I don't know those names at all, but this is definitely the right person. So the family tree owner of this is Gerald Malloy. So now I have another person I could contact. I have no idea who this person is, but this is a great person to get in touch with, because he's got the exact same information as I do. So you can also just look at the tabs here. This is the family tree. So there's not much in this particular part of the tree, but definitely the right people. And we looked at the profile. Yep, right there. And it has where he's buried, that he was an iron turner. I think that was in one of the census records, where he lived, and then just a brief timeline. I don't know if you're all familiar with this GeneNet. This is new to me, but when he got married, birth of a daughter. Yeah. So I'm guessing that this Jerry Malloy is a descendant of Alice Hargraves and James Ketchum, because that's the only daughter that's listed. And I know they have many more children. So, but still, that would be a really good contact for me. So, all right. That. And let's see, we'll go to Ancestry. And I did like this one because the first one is mine. Scott Clough family tree is me, but he was found in 12 trees. So I'm going to look at those 12 trees. And so the one down has the same information. Now they may have gotten it from me, and they only have 50 people in the tree. So I don't know if I'd be interested in contacting them, because they, like I said, probably just got a lot of the information from me, but it might be worth, sending an email. Here's Ridley family tree. They have 4,800 people. So that would probably be a good one to contact. And here's the Malloy Rumdy, which was the same as the GeneNet. So they've got 40,000 people in their tree. So probably a good person to contact. So again, you just never know where you're going to find really good sources to get more information. Close that. So I think that's enough of that one, but this I think is a pretty helpful one, because again, you enter the information once and you can look at several different websites. So it kind of makes the job a little easier here. Oh no, my mouse. And of course. Okay, I think I'm back in business. Okay. Or not. Sorry, folks. Okay. All right, and they actually have that they were one of the best websites. And I would probably agree with that. Some of these that I looked at, I questioned why they were on the list, honestly. This next one I've been aware of for some time. I started doing something on it and then I never got back to it, but I think it's a pretty cool website. It's really like a project management, but I can definitely see uses for genealogy. If you're like me, I love Post-it notes and I've got them everywhere, but then I forget what I've done and I lose the Post-it notes. So here is kind of like an electronic Post-it note. So you can you have a workspace. So this is my workspace. You can create a board. So this is the board right here. And I labeled this Allen family. So this is just, and so that this way you can just, every family that you work on, you can create a different board for. Now you can get the basic version of this for free. But it's got a ton of different tools that you can use. And then you would have to pay. I haven't really looked into how much it is, but so they recommend having like a to-do list, a doing or in process list, and then things that you've actually finished. So so I wrote a few things down, find the birth and death dates for my great grandfather Allen's siblings, Elizabeth, William, and John. Contact Allen's with matching Y DNA to my brother to determine how we're related. Plan a trip to Adams, Massachusetts to research my Scott and Scotland families. And what I'm doing now is emailing my DNA matches, waiting for a reply from them. And then I wrote in my done, I finished my family tree. Now you guys can't see my shirt, but I'm wearing my shirt that says, my work is done. I found everyone in my family tree and all my documents are organized, said no genealogist ever. So I thought it would be just kind of humorous to have finished my family tree because we all know that we're never actually done with that. So on Trello, you can, let's see, this is going to come up here. There is an information guide that will help you get started. So this is written information, so you can just kind of read through these, learn the board basics, create your first project. You're not going to need all of these because it's talking about onboard your team. So this is, like I said, it's what did I? It's productivity, like you're trying to keep track of your progress on different projects, project management. So for our purposes, we probably wouldn't need the premium or the paying one, but that's up to how fancy you want to get. But they also have many video tutorials on YouTube. So if you're a better visual learner, then that will work for you. We can just, oops. And they actually have a channel, a Trello channel. So there's several videos. And then there's people that have done their own too. Sorry. Okay, so getting started with Trello.
Hey, this is Brian from the Trello team. Today we are going to take a peek at the best app ever board that Misty River Software created to keep track of the new app. As you can see, this board is made up of lists that represent a workflow.
Sorry, folks.
Each list has cards on it. A card is a unit that represents a task and can hold a variety of information for that task. I can create a new task for this board by adding a card and adding a title to it. Hit the card to open up the card.
And as you can see, there is a Trello channel, so you can subscribe to that. So that is if you're looking to get a little more organized in your genealogy research. I'm going to close some of these here. The next one is the family tree DNA. And I actually belong to that. I've had my own DNA tested, and I had my brother test his too for the Y DNA. And as of right now, they are the only ones that do the Y DNA. In here. So this is my brother, and he has the autosomal DNA as well as the Y DNA. And I was going to show you the difference in results. So for his Y DNA matches, which is the DNA that you get from your father, he only has 4 results that, and you can see they all have the Allen name, and that's my maiden name. But you also see that some spell EN and some, there's only one that spells it AN. There's a couple more and I don't know anything about the markers on this, but there's a couple more that showed up with 12 markers. So he has 7 matches altogether for the Y DNA. But if you looked at his, the autosomal, he's got 7,258 matches. That's a big difference. So if you are hitting a brick wall with like your dad's side of the family, which I am, you may want to have any living male relatives tested, because as you can see, contacting 7 people is a lot easier than contacting, hundreds or even thousands of people. So just a thought. And like I said, as far as I know, Family Tree DNA is the only company that tests the Y DNA now. And I think they're having a holiday sale, early bird holiday sale. So might be worth looking into that. And they have different things on here that you can take a look at. It's probably pretty similar to some of the other DNA sites. And like others, they have like a help right here. So the help center is a good source of information for this one. So type of DNA and tests. And you can get information about that before you buy even, which is helpful if you're not sure what kind of test you want to take. let's see, results and tools, trees, other features and tools. So the help center is very, I think, very good if you're not quite sure which direction to go on that. All right. And the next one is your DNA guide. So I like this. It's this woman that probably rivals Blaine Bettinger for DNA information. She's got her own website and she does all kinds of training, and so the workshop courses, she's got an academy that she has now. And what different people are saying. So you can take a tour with your DNA guide, DNA skills workshop, specifically for why DNA. And then there's a couple that are coming soon, and she's got wait lists for them already, so you can sign up for that. Let's see. And I love this. She's got a money back guarantee. I am so confident that my workshops and courses will make you more confident in using DNA for family history that I offer a money back guarantee. How often can you get something like that? That's just amazing to me. So if you're not quite ready for the academy, but you want to learn what you can, they have the newsletter, which is every month, and they have this book that she probably uses, I'm sure, for her webinars and classes. And you get the choice of purchasing the print edition or the ebook edition. I mean, you can just get it and read it on your own too. You wouldn't have to take the class for that. And then she offers mentoring too. So if you're at a certain place and you need just a little more hand holding, then and you get one-on-one attention, I think she does them by Zoom. So that's another option for you too. So I thought this was a pretty good site. And she also has many different, I don't think I'm going to go to it, but she's got a YouTube channel as well with many different, they're short, they're short videos, but they might be helpful too. I just don't want to get caught up in the YouTube thing because it's going to take up too much of our time. So anyway, your DNA guide, I would recommend that one. And on the blog here, if you like getting free stuff, you can read different articles on the blog, and then on most of the ones that I looked at, there was something free that you could get. So let me just check this one here. And Diane Southard is her name. Sorry, still having trouble with my mouse. Wish I had a I think I need a new battery, but my apologies. Oh. All right, I think I'm going to have to excuse myself for just a minute, run and go get a new battery. I apologize. I will be right back. Yay. Picked another one here. Oh, now I keep picking picking the ones that don't have the free thing. Okay. I'm pretty sure this one was. There we go. All right, so get the free guide to 3 free alternatives to GEDmatch. So just for reading this particular blog post, you can click on that and get a free guide. So I thought that was pretty cool too. So let's see. The next one is root point. And if you're, I apologize, if you're following along on the handout, I kind of went a little bit out of order. So, so this, I got a very different experience on my laptop and I'm on my desktop now. This is not the most user friendly, but it has some good information on it. So I wanted to talk about it briefly. There are several different collection types that they hit. Well, not several, there's a few different collection types. One of them is Google Books. So I happened to do a project for a friend of mine years ago, and she had a 2x great grandmother that was a child entertainer, and her stage name was Leo Coles, and she actually sadly ended up taking her life at age, I think she was 24, back in 1891. But she was written up in different theater books. And so I knew that. So I looked her up on Google Books. And when it says read, you can click on read and get it for free. So some you do have to purchase. Some you can download the ebook, which is what I did here. And they will highlight the person's name, which they do in a lot of like newspapers and stuff too. And so then it goes right to where the person that you're looking for, it goes right to that page. So it was talking about how child entertainers were not treated right. The parents sold them basically to a circus or some other entertainment industry, and they were told, oh yeah, they're going to be educated, and you know, they were just treated horribly. And it's just such a sad story, but that's what the story was about. And her name was actually written and her age was given, and just very interesting. And I would never have thought to look on Google Books for Leo Coles. And, you know, I mean, just look at all these different things that you can, you know, what if you have a person that you know in your family that was a pharmacist? Maybe this American Professional Pharmacist would be a good book for you to look at. You never know when you might find their name in it. Women's Who's Who of America from 1914. Maybe you have a person who was famous in a woman who was famous in your family history and don't even know it. So don't ever say no to anything, because you just never know where you're going to find something. So my next one on here, yeah, this is an okay site. I mean, and you can purchase books too, but I'll show you what that looks like in just a second. So I looked under immigration records, and so under immigration records, they have 4 choices: Germans to America, Irish immigrants, Italians, and Russians. So I wanted to just check Irish immigrants, not for any particular reason. Oh, I forgot to put the name. Sorry about that, but I can still do it here. So I just thought of a kind of an Irish name, Patrick Hartley. And let's see. So actually there was one result, Patrick Hartley. And so we know he arrived. He was born in 1846, arrived at the port of New York. His travel compartment code was steerage. He came from Belfast. So again, you might pick up a little crumb of information that you wouldn't have otherwise gotten on your relative Patrick Hartley. And then they do have this Gen Mall, which is their sales place. So they have a lot of books, but this is the interface. It just is kind of not very exciting. Thousands of genealogy books, which is great. You can look at the different categories they have by state, family histories, gazetteers, different countries, and then the downloadable books. So these you can just get right onto your computer. Oh, sorry. And they do cost money, so, but you don't have to have another thing for your bookcase. You can just save it to your computer. So I think it's worth checking out for sure. And I did pay on a couple of these. I just paid so that I could see some more of the features. I think you can try this for a week for $1.99. I did a year and it was $9.99. So I thought that was probably money well spent for that. All right, let's see. Sorry, I did do a couple more other Google searches too. So North Adams is where some of my family is from. So they have an official souvenir book, 1909. You can get it as a print version. It's a pretty small town, so it's likely that maybe my family would be mentioned somehow. Here's another one, the first records of the town of Adams. And you may be able to get these, you know, from WorldCat, like through interlibrary loan. But for what you have to pay for to keep your own copy, it might be kind of a wash. I know we charge $5 for any interlibrary loans that we process at our library. So anyway, just all kinds of good information out there. So how are we do? Oh my gosh, 10 to 8. So sorry. Okay. So names in stone. This is a cemetery map that is kind of cool. So I looked up the name Chalmers because that's another name in my family. And so I looked, I thought I recognized maybe the name Maggie Chalmers and birth in Scotland. I was like, oh, this is sounding good. So you can go to the grave. What's different about this and like Find Grave, it doesn't actually show you the stone, it shows you the map of where they are located at the cemetery. So we have a Maggie Chalmers, James Chalmers, and then a Jean Chalmers, and then who is buried everywhere around them too. So you can zoom in and out, move right, left. There might be a little bit more information here, but not too much. They have the burial date, but they don't have a birth date or anything like that. And then if you go to cemetery, it shows where in the cemetery Maggie is buried, and then where the cemetery is actually located in the US. So that is kind of, I think, helpful. When I was looking through names on here, I found that a lot of them were in Utah. So I don't know if it just hasn't grown into other areas, but most of the burials that I saw were in Utah, which I thought was kind of odd. But I love the idea of being able to see, who they're buried near. And sometimes you might come across like maybe an infant grave that was not recorded anywhere except at the cemetery. So that might be another avenue to try when looking for missing or people that you didn't know existed. Or maybe it said on a census that a mother gave birth to 5 kids and only 4 were living, and you have no record of the one that is no longer around. Something like this might be a good place to start looking. So, and again, checking out the about, but this does not cost anything to just look on here. And I hope, I would love to see the other cemetery websites kind of have something like this. It's nice to see the headstone for sure. But it's also nice to see the location of where the person is buried. All right, and the next one is this historical maps of Europe in the 19th century. I like it. It just, there's not a lot to it. So if we look at country maps, just as an example. So I'm scrolling. So we have Norway, Paris, France, Greece, Italy, Moldavia, Russia. Okay, and that's it. So those are the countries. They do have United States. So that might be worthwhile. I think it's good because we probably don't have too many historical maps here in this country of other parts of the world. City maps, again, not a lot. So I love the idea of it. It just, there's just not much to it. So London, this is kind of cool. And you can move around. So having a street map of London from 1799, that's awesome. And you can actually draw distances. You can measure a distance from one area to the next. So if you happen to know that your ancestor lived, I can't really read this, near the River Thames, and you wanted to know how far it was to the nearest hospital or something, you could look up the hospital and then just kind of drag a line and it'll tell you in kilometers, but we can convert that easy enough to miles. So that's about all there is with that one. Again, I wish there was more to it, but I guess something is better than nothing. And okay, newspaper archives is similar in nature to the other newspaper websites. All right, so you can look by publications, you can look by obituaries. I happen to just look up my great-grandmother, Jane Scott. And let's see, that was in Massachusetts. And I know she lived in Adams. So I see the North Adams transcript. So I know that that's the right one to be looking for. And then I see Miss Jane Scott right here to become a nurse. And Miss Jane Scott is actually my grandmother. My grandmother was named after her mom. And so not only did I was going to find the obituary for my great grandmother, but I found an article about my grandmother going to nurses training school. And this is not behaving, so unfortunately I won't be able to show you. Maybe it's here. And the thing with these newspaper websites, they do have different publications. So I think it's worthwhile, even if you do it on a trial basis. I have a 7-day trial for this one. So you just, work like crazy to look up the areas that you had people in, and you might get really lucky and find some good newspaper articles. But I think it's worth, here's my grandmother. So here was Miss Jane Scott to become a nurse, and that's my grandmother. I mean, how cool is that? And this was from 1918. And I'm pretty sure my mother had told me that, and she didn't end up becoming a nurse, but just to have her like with a little, not just a little tiny article, it actually had a headline, and it's just really, really cool. So the next one, and if you can stick with me for a couple more minutes. So this is Newspaper Navigator, and most of you are probably familiar with Chronicling America, which is through the Library of Congress. And that gives you all the text from many different newspapers. This gives you pictures from many different newspapers. It goes from 1900 to 1963, so it is a fairly limited span of years. I did some searching on here. Okay, so here is this is a video tutorial. It's the guy that is actually in charge of this. He's the 2020 Innovator in Residence, and developed this Newspaper Navigator. But let's see. So if I want to look for John F. Kennedy, we would think there'd be all kinds of pictures of him from that time frame. So 2. So then I looked up President Kennedy. So I'm not really sure why that is. Okay, many, many more. Well, still only 40. But as you can see, they're not actually all of John Kennedy. You can click on info here and it will tell you what the caption says, but it's read by the OCR, so it's not a perfect system, but you can also download the image and then you can clearly see what the caption says. You can also view the full issue of that particular newspaper, And then you can learn more about it. So this was in the Roman, I'm not sure that that's even right, Romanual American on January 12th, 1963. Let me see if I can get a better one here. Let's see what this one is. Oh, Tabor City Tribune in 1960. Again, you can look up the full issue. So then it would actually be the entire newspaper that you would get for November 9th, 1960. And if you wanted to learn more about that particular newspaper, or if you wanted to cite it, you can get the information for that as well. So I like this idea. I don't know why it seems like there are so few that are coming through. I also did like Babe Ruth, just to mix it up again. And so I don't know how successful you would be at finding ancestors on this. It would seem like maybe more famous people are going to be showing up. So he's got 395, but again, they're not all actually of Babe Ruth. If he is listed in the caption, then the picture is going to show up here. And he does tell you, the guy that runs this, he does tell you how to kind of filter it down so you're getting more good results. But we don't have time to do that. So that is Newspaper Navigator. And let's see here. So the next one is Cook County Clerk of Court of the Circuit Court. And anybody that's had ancestors that are immigrants and have applied for naturalization, this could be a possibly very good website for you. So this is for Cook County, which is in Chicago, but they actually held the records for many of the Midwest courts. And so let's see what we have here. So 400,000 of the records from 1871 to 1929 are declarations of intention. And that's usually the first form that has to be filled out. And a lot of people didn't actually follow through after that, but they still had to disclose a lot of information. So they're great sources of birth, death, spouse, kids, ship that you sailed on, where you came from, where what port you sailed into, just all kinds of good information. Your occupation, I think, is one of them. So helpful hints for searching on here. FAQs, as I said, are always good. And so this is the information as current address and current city. Yeah, frequently asked questions are always good. So let me see if I can just do a quick search here. Okay, so 5 John Scotts came up. I'm going to say the first one's mine, Glasgow. Gives his occupation, his birth date. You get a few more details here, but you'd actually have to request the entire application to get all of the information. But they give you the page number and the court and the volume, so you can order that from this website as well. So another resource for anybody that was immigrated to, sorry. Okay, so I think this is my favorite one, the last one, Harvard Library, Immigration to the United States, 1789 to 1930. So this is another good immigration resource. they have unbelievable information on here. So there's 11,419 items, and you could just browse them all, or you can limit your search by various filters on the side. So we can just, and you actually get to see a visual of what the item is. So I found a couple in here. Let's see. So if you're looking specifically for just information about the US immigration policies, you can find that. There's things from Congress in here. Here's something from the Daughters of the American Revolution. Let's see. Okay, so here is somebody whose name is George La Piana, Italian Immigrants in America. So he wrote, it's a memoir. Can you even imagine finding your ancestor, George La Piana, a memoir in his written hand? Like, what an incredible find that would be. And this is at the Harvard Library Immigration Immigration of the United States collection. Another one, let's see. Here's an autobiography, A Far Journey. Also another example of what it was like for somebody traveling from their home country to the US. Life of David Belden, 1891. It's just incredible. 8 months in Illinois with information to immigrants. So he's letting people know what his experience is like, dating back to 1924. I think this is an amazing website. And they have many different curiosity collections. So I was kind of having fun just looking through here. So here are some of their curiosity digital collections. Some really interesting ones. One that I came upon was daguerreotypes at Harvard. So here, there's 3,600. What if this woman and child, not a good picture, sorry, but what if this woman and child looked exactly like somebody in your family? You may have found a person that you didn't know existed, or maybe you do know existed, and now you have a face to go with the name, if you can figure it out. It's just incredible what they have. Here, Thomas Hart Benton lived 1782 to 1858. Most families are not going to have a picture of him because there were not a lot of pictures being taken during that time frame. Just amazing stuff. It's just fun to go through these collections. Another thing that I was interested in, I don't think it was actually, oh, maybe it was in this women's collection, women working. Anyway, I looked up Susan B. Anthony because Susan B. Anthony, for those of you that don't know, lived a good part of her life in Rochester, New York. She was also born in Adams, Massachusetts, which is where my grandmother was born. So more of a connection there. But there were personal letters that she had written that they have at Harvard. I mean, they had a ton of stuff, all kinds of pictures, things, letters that she had written to famous people, you know, in Congress or presidents or Elizabeth Cady Stanton or whatever. Just, I highly recommend this. I think I saved the best for last here, the Harvard Library one. So obviously I'm not going to have time to go through the rest of them, but honestly, I didn't think those other ones were really worth it. So hopefully you got a little bit of information from this tonight. I'm going to stop sharing my screen. Sorry, I went a little bit over here. And I don't know if anybody has any questions, and I'm not sure if I can answer them at this point, but so sorry about the battery. Just technology, you want it to work when you need it to work, and sorry about that, but I do appreciate all of you tuning in tonight. I will be sending out both the follow-up email, and that will include the link to the recording, which will be on our website. And then it will also have the handout that I was unable to get to you as well. So just not a good night for me technology wise, but anyway, hopefully you learned something. But if anybody does have any questions, or I see Dick Campbell said the Rush Rees Library at U of R has bunches of stuff too. I can certainly understand that. Yeah, I'm sure they're the recipient of a lot of great information. Okay. Very good. Any other questions or comments? Thank you, Shirley, about your comment about the battery. Yes, abolitionist, suffrage, etc., handwritten letters. Yeah, yes. I love it. All right, well, if nobody has anything else, we're about 12 minutes beyond the hour. So thanks for sticking in there with me. And again, I apologize for my technology issues, but I think I will say goodnight if nobody has anything else then. And thank you again for coming. I appreciate it.